Hi, this is Isabel Rumble with John Broughton on Retrospectives, KC Radio 97.7 FM.
Let's get into it. As we've just discussed, you've just returned from your album launch tour. As an artist, is it the live audience response and feedback of a new batch of songs that gives you the strongest indicator of how the songs are resonating with people?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I haven't actually thought of it in that way before so much, but it does give me a good idea. I think the live show is definitely where I can get like the closest feeling to how the songs really are landing. Often people haven't ever heard the music before and it's their first impression, which is really beautiful. And sometimes people have listened to the album and it's, they were really excited to hear that one song, but then they say, oh, it was so different live. I actually, resonated with this one. Yeah, so it's always really interesting to hear which songs resonate with who.
There is that old cliche about the second album. You've got your first album's got a whole lifetime worth of songs to choose from to include, but suddenly you have to come up with new material for album number 2. Did you feel some of that second album pressure upon you?
Yes and no. I think I did have this feeling like, okay, I need to make another one now. But as an independent artist, I guess I don't really have a label or anyone externally really pushing me to do anything. So it did feel like it came from me. I don't think I've been really overly influenced by how the industry wants to, the direction it wants to push you and shape you into. And I think that after that first album release, I just had so many big life experiences and transitions and times of change. It felt very natural to have all these songs kind of flow out, and that, it happened very organically. It didn't feel forced. So yeah, yes and no.
Before we go deep into the album, just a few background things. This is the first time we've spoken. Do you have any standout memories from your childhood that you could point to today and say, well, there's a moment where music and songs really started to play an important role in your life?
I always think back to one of my earliest memories, which was playing this tiny little toy kind of Casio keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
In the little cabin that I grew up with my dad, and he was teaching me the one song that he knew on the keyboard, and I think that was the first memory I have of being really interested and curious and drawn to sound and so determined to get that song. That was a really early one, so I guess it probably started from there. And then there are definitely some key moments later on, like playing my first little open mics where I was so nervous and sharing the first kind of embryo of a song that I had written when I was about 12 or 13 with a crowd, and feeling the magic of playing to people in a listening space. And I think those two come to mind at the moment.
So was your leap into songwriting an intentional pursuit, or was it something that just quietly emerged within you?
I'd say it was quietly emerging. I wrote a few songs in my early teens, which I played at little community open mics. I grew up in a regional area, and around a place called Candelo in New South Wales, and the community there is very nurturing of young emerging musicians, and still is. I just visited there on my tour, and I played a set in the town hall with two young girls probably 13, 14 years old, supporting me. So it
Mm.
felt very full circle. Um, yeah, and now I've forgotten what the bigger question was.
It was something obviously that did quietly emerge. It wasn't something you just one day
Oh, quietly
decided, yeah, I'm going to be a
merging. Yes,
songwriter.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd say quietly merging. Yeah,
So
but
looking
I
back
mean, when I
upon, sorry, go.
sorry, yeah, you go. Oh no, I was just gonna say in my 20s, I definitely like there was a decision like, okay, I want to do this. But the songwriting side of things was
Mm.
was organic. Yeah.
So looking back at your very early songwriting efforts, are there any parts of your younger songwriting self that still live in your music today, do you think?
I'd say so. Yeah. I think I think that all of us are making the same things over and over, just in different ways and more mature and evolved ways. Um, yeah, it's definitely grown and developed a lot more, but I'd say like the essence of those first songs, which I will never share with anyone because they're very embarrassing. um, but I'd say that there's still some threads connecting it all. Yeah.
Mm. So if we were to walk past young Isabel's room back in those days, what artist would we have heard coming from her stereo?
Oh my goodness. Um, uh, well, I went through a big Missy Higgins phase. That was what got me into guitar playing. But when I started expanding my listening, I had like Gillian Welsh on repeat and Laura Marling and Joni Mitchell. Um, yeah, Holly Throsby. She's come up a bit recently. The album has been compared to her early albums, which is a beautiful compliment because I listened to a lot of her music in those early guitar learning days and starting to delve into songwriting. And I really love these Australian artists. Leluc is another one. Yeah.
Now, as we've also mentioned earlier, you have moved around a bit over the years and lived in different locations, Australia and overseas. Has each of these locations had its own unique influence on how you approach your music?
Definitely. Yeah, always the place that I'm in and traveling through has such a massive influence on, well, like, I guess on my life, which in turn is where the songwriting comes from. Um, yeah, I always return back to my home valley in New South Wales, and that feels like a very nurturing space for creativity and yeah, it feels like a place where everything always makes sense and things just flow there. And I lived overseas for a while, and the landscapes over in Austria and other parts of Europe, Finland and Switzerland, Germany, they're all just so incredible. I think both in the sense that made me realise how amazing Australia is for its unique landscape and biodiversity, but also like for them in themselves, the Alps and yeah, the seasons. Tasmania was another place that has really influenced my writing and just kind of stepping into the music career. And it feels like it holds this energy of, yeah, there's just something down there. It's very creative and
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Is there any one dominant source of your songwriting? Did you write mainly from observation, or is it from memories, or imagination, or could it be something entirely different altogether?
Um, it's probably a mixture of everything. I haven't really analysed it so much. Um, I do take a lot more care with my lyrics now because I know that I have to sing them over and over for probably years. um, no, I think that like dreams play a big role in my songwriting. I generally take notes of conversations I overhear, and I write a journal, and just little, bits here and there turn up again, and they keep coming back, and it feels like, okay, there's something there.
Mm. How do you judge for yourself when a song has reached that finalisation stage? Is there a guide or a test that you put it through to make that decision that it doesn't require any more editing, that it's ready?
Generally, I think I'll play it to someone who I trust. But now I've learned to be really careful about not sharing it too early, because once I've shared it, some of the magic is passed on. It's not necessarily lost, but it transfers, and then I can't pick it up again, and I find it hard to finish it. So I try to get it to the most complete stage, and then I'll share it, and it's more about how I feel in the sharing that lets me know if it feels complete, rather than how the other person, responds to it. But gosh, I think songs are living things, and even some songs from my first album I'm still playing so differently now. It feels like they're morphing and changing all the time. So I don't know if they're ever really complete.
That's a very good answer. Let's get into this new album, which I've literally just finished listening to for the umpteenth time before we linked up this morning. Was there any major change in the way you approached recording this album? From lessons learned with album number one?
Yes, it was such a different process. The first album I recorded over a long time in bits and pieces, going back and forth to the studio, and had all the instrumentation layered over the top in time. Tracked the vocals to a click and then came back to it and redid them. This one, we went into the studio, spent a week there in the beautiful Four Winds space in my home valley with a very small team: producer Heath Cullen, Robin Martin, and a beautiful musician on bass and backing vocals, and Ben Fowler was doing engineering, and there was just the four of us in that kind of cocoon of time and space. And we laid down all the tracks in that week, did it all live. So it really feels like it holds that essence of the live experience, and those little, unique moments that are never going to be recreated. And I think after having toured the first album, I realised I really wanted to capture some of that essence in this one. And I think we did. Even though we did come back to it, I layered some harmonies. We did add pedal steel and some cello and some piano and guitar here and there. But the real body of it is captured in that week, and I think it always takes me back there to that container of time. It was really beautiful. So yeah, very different experience.
Of course, the first album was recorded in Tasmania, but this time you've returned to the region where you were born and raised. That must have had a massive influence over the finished product.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I was in a room with all these people that I've grown up with. Heath Cullen, the producer, he was my guitar teacher at school.
Oh, really?
Robin Martin was a singing teacher of mine, and these musicians who I have really looked up to and admired for so long, and to have them working on this project was just incredible. I think, the first album always has its real magic as well, and working with Luke Plum was amazing. He's incredible at what he does. I think I'm just getting a bit closer to how I want my music to be experienced by everyone involved in the creating of it, as well as the sharing, and how I feel like it serves the songs the most. I think these ones really needed that container, and they were such internal and reflective songs that I needed to really trust the space and the people, and not kind of leak the energy out. So, yeah.
Of course, having that familiarity, well, I'm trying to get it out, familiarity around you, all long-time friends in your home environment, it
Yeah,
certainly would have been a huge advantage, particularly in the early stages of recording, that settling in period.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Were all the songs written since the last album, or were there some held over?
Yes, they were. There was one song that I wrote kind of on the cusp, like just before I released the first album. That was, yeah, the oldest one on this record. Um, but most of them came out all in kind of, yeah, one go. Yeah.
Tell us about the facilities there at Windsong. It sounds like a magical environment and space to record at.
Yeah. So it's well, actually, during the week that we were recording, the architect came in,
Oh, really?
who had designed the place, which is really cool because we got some insights into, yeah, all of that side of things. He actually hadn't built it as a purpose space for, purpose built for music, but it turned out that it's got incredible acoustics, and they run the Four Winds Festival there. It's more classical music focused. I went to see a live gig there last year, actually this year, which was amazing. Like it's nestled in the coastal bushland, just back from Bermagui Township, and you drive along a dirt road to get in there. And yeah, there's no recording facilities there, but Heath brought his mobile recording studio and set it all up. So we got to use the beautiful grand piano that's in the space. Yeah, and you just kind of make it your own. But I was really lucky that Four Winds had offered that space for us to use in that time.
So what do you think that space actually brought to the finished product of a recording that you probably may not have achieved in a traditional recording studio?
That's a really good question. I think probably just like it transferred the energy of the place, and yeah, the surroundings, like nestled in the bush. I think we all brought that kind of calm, the calm that comes from being in so connected with nature every day. We could just step outside and we were amongst the gum trees, and that somehow filters into the recording. But also we had to adapt things, like it would rain and the rain sounds come through because
Oh,
it's
right.
not a purpose-built recording studio. So we were doing all sorts of little like tricks but there's some rain in the some cello, some double bass parts and some backing vocals in there. You probably can't hear it, but it's there. So it's made its way in the environment, and nature has definitely filtered in somehow, somewhere. Yeah.
And having Heath Cullen as your producer, apart from being your old guitar teacher, what other qualities did he bring to the table that made him a really good fit for this record?
He's incredibly sensitive to the material. He has an amazing attention to detail. He's very respectful around the themes that I was exploring. His ear is just amazing. I think that we very much align in that musical sense, and had a very similar vision from the start of how we knew these songs had to be handled. And yeah, I think he's just done such a beautiful job with it all from the start to the finish. He's very calm, he's very laid back, and he just lets things kind of unfold without forcing anything. Very very intuitive and, yeah, spontaneous.
So for you personally, is that if you had to point to a centerpiece song on the album that you feel defines the record more so than the others, would there be one?
Um, The one that really immediately comes to mind is the title track, Hold Everything Lightly, just because I didn't realize, but over time, when I wrote it, I didn't realize it was going to be the centerpiece of the album. But over time, it is threaded all the songs together. That's the last track on the album, and then I'd say, if I was to think a little deeper, I think Soften, which is the first track, also really holds the essence of the whole album. I think it gets a bit closer to some of the broader themes that I'm working with. It also introduces a slightly different sound to what I've ever recorded before. So those two that bookend the album, I think.
Which beautifully leads me to my next question. I'm a proud owner of the beautiful orange vinyl version of the album. Releasing the album on vinyl, did that cause you to pay extra attention to the sequencing of the tracks?
Definitely. Well, I guess I would have paid attention anyway, but it has influenced. It did influence those decisions. That was a hard one to decide on the order. It was a juggle. It didn't really fall into order very easily, but there are a few things that ended up determining the order. So the vinyl probably did. Yeah, I'm glad that. Well, I hope that it comes across in a smooth and how it should.
Were those two you mentioned the obvious opening and closing tracks for you? And the rest just sort of fell into place?
Yes, very slowly fell into place. But yeah, those two did. Those two were the opening and closing for me, yeah.
For me, the title track it had to be the closer. It's just got that beautiful build-up and that big finish, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah.
I saw you quoted somewhere as saying that the album for you is like a pocket full of truth. Were there any aspects of that truth that were particularly difficult or surprisingly easy for you to put in the song?
Pocket full of truth. When did I say that?
I saw another recent interview about the album.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember, but I've had quite a few interviews, so I think I've forgotten where
they all blur
I've
after
said
a while. Yeah,
they blur. That could be a song.
Pocket full of truth. Yeah.
Yes, I think in the writing of the songs, I never really struggle. Like the writing is a beautiful process of. Just kind of release and processing that. Yeah, I don't think those truths are really hard to. It's almost like that writing the song kind of removes it from you, so it's easy. At least that's been my experience so far. But I think where it's really revealed, like the honesty and the rawness of it has been playing the shows and presenting these songs to people, because some nights I'm not really feeling that vulnerable, like that truth needs to be shared, or but every time it does have such a beauty in sharing, and undoubtedly there's people that really resonate with something that you would never have guessed. So yes, it's in some ways it's confronting sometimes, but in the initial writing and the recording, it all felt very very natural.
One of the standout songs for me on the album is Born Again, which I believe you wrote. It was very much influenced by your surrounds. You wrote it by a flowing river. Can you talk us through that one?
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that one whilst traveling, kind of in the liminal space between the first album and making the little EP that I released in between the albums. And I was staying for a few days in this incredible, yeah, like a kind of campsite near Bellingen in New South Wales, and it was a really beautiful river. I just sat down beside. I took a photo and on my film camera, and that made its way into the CD book that I put together with the lyrics and everything. Yeah, that was a kind of, it was a song that just like flowed out all in one go, and it always felt like it had to hold that intimacy of that moment that was really just like by myself and for myself, really, in that space. And that's why there's no other instrumentation on it. It's very stripped back. It's just that solo moment that I feel is also really important to the live show when I play these songs. Yeah, yeah.
And just before I let you go, Isabel, what are the plans for 2026 now this tour's behind you and you've hopefully got some rest and relaxation ahead of you over the Christmas New Year period? What's 2026 got in store?
Yeah. So I am going to be continuing touring this album. I'll be in Tasmania in February, March, playing Creswick in Victoria, as well as a little festival called Seven Sisters in Victoria, and then I head to Western Australia, and then I'm going back to UK and Europe. So
Oh, right.
a big chunk of next year of 2026 is going to be overseas, which I'm really excited about. That's all the touring side of things, and I am actually really excited to have a little break from the creative process of like recording and stuff, and just take a step back and immerse myself in other modes of creativity which are also really important to me. And yeah, just take a little break from all the promotion stuff, because
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's the organizing of the gigs, and you know, this upcoming tour and time overseas is going to be enough to keep me occupied.
Yeah.
So
Oh, look,
yeah.
there's a lot of life in these songs yet to, and a lot of people to bring them to before we even start thinking about new songs, I would think.
Oh, thanks for saying that. Takes the pressure off.
Thanks a lot, Isabel. Absolute treat to speak to you and to meet you for the first time. And congratulations on this album, which no doubt you're very proud of, as you should be. It's a beautiful piece of work and one of the highlights of my listening year.
Oh, thanks so much, John. Yeah, such a
Okay.
pleasure.
Take care. All the best, and we'll catch up the next time you're in Melbourne.
Will do. Sounds
Okay.
good.
See you later.